Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell, coming to you mid-afternoon on Monday, September the 18th. We're doing a solo podcast today. Unfortunately, Jason Cameron's under the weather today, so we are going to do a wrap-up of the weekend in sports solo. So hope you enjoy having me come at you, giving my takes and everything instead of the expertise of Jason Cameron and everything that he brings to the table. Great weekend. Good weather here. It gets a little cold at night and in the morning now. You can tell that it's the last week of summer heading into fall officially this week. 21st is the first day of fall. Man, that summer seemed to fly by for me. I hope it didn't fly by for all of you. It's always nice if it drags out and you can really make the most of it and enjoy the great weather. We did a lot. We were pretty busy, but it sure flew by. We ended it this weekend at something called the Harvest Festival, which was a fun festival out in the city of Ladner. They had lots of things going on. They had 3 stages with bands that continuously played throughout the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They had a lot of artisans with booths there selling their wares, and then lots of food trucks, lots of activities for kids, so lots of families there, and good time. An unused piece of land that they have out there. They used to have harness racing on the track there, and then that shut down many years ago, and that land has just sat unused. Really, I don't know if there's been other things there, but really every time I've driven by there over the past 20-something years, maybe more, that it's just been empty. And good that they found a use for it and entertained a lot of people. It seemed like it was very busy, so I'm sure they made money and everybody had fun. A good way to sort of end the summer with this Harvest Festival. We have one of our favorite breweries has a facility out there. They're called Barnside. They're right on the side of a farm. They're utilizing an old barn for their brewery, and we really like going out there. It's nice and peaceful. They have a great patio and tasty beer, good food, and so I guess they were the main beer sponsor, and were pouring lots of drinks there. The lines were crazy for drinks, but flew by, so you're able to get in line and have a drink in your hand within probably 5 minutes. So it wasn't as bad as the lines looked. But anyway, we had a great time. It was a fun way to sort of end the week. End the week with a good festival. But lots of sports going on. I stayed up really late on Saturday because I had recorded the UFC and only started watching it late. Had a nap in the middle, so had to rewind it a bit and watch it again. But can't wait to break that down a little bit. Controversy and some regards there, definitely during the main event, which ended in a draw, and not too many people are ever happy with a draw. So we'll break that down. Great weekend in the NFL. 10 one-score games, which is always terrific. Out of the, I guess, would have been 12 games altogether. 10 of them were one-score games. So 2 games tonight, Monday Night Football. We've got the 1-0 Saints against the 0-1 Panthers. Is the early game. Kickoff at 4:15 Pacific, 7:15 Eastern. And the second game is the 1-0 Browns against the 0-1 Steelers. That one kicks off an hour later, 5:15 Pacific, 8:15 Eastern time. No idea why they're doing this. I don't like it. Liked having that standalone game, but I guess the only good thing is if one of these is a blowout, you can turn to the other and watch a close game, which is a lot more fun usually. Steelers are reeling after facing their worst home loss under the Mike Tomlin coached era. They lost 30-7 last weekend to the San Francisco 49ers, and not a good look. Derek Carr looked good in his Saints debut. Bryce Young struggled, and I think Carolina will struggle. The first overall draft pick is going to have a great career, I'm sure, as long as he stays healthy. But Carolina, I'm sure, will struggle this year. So I'm thinking Saints and Browns tonight. If you can, take me to the bank and make a comment. I'm sure I will. You'll be able to hold me to it. Steelers, they're going to struggle. Browns are starting to come together. They've assembled a good team. Deshaun Watson, after his massage fiasco, finally seems like he'll be rounding back into form and be good. Can't wait to break down the NFL Week 2, concluding tonight. I'm looking forward to finishing this off in less than an hour, so I can watch the full games and I'll be able to enjoy them myself. The big news on Saturday was the Colorado Buffaloes were getting a chance to welcome in their home state rival, Colorado State. And there's been so much talk since Deion Sanders has taken over the coaching reins there, cleaned house, and shocked the nation with a couple big victories, especially that big win over TCU in the opening weekend. So I saw First Take there. I saw Fox News down there. Pat McAfee put a show in there. Deion was sporting the new shades that he supposedly he made $2 million that weekend. Was going to release these shades at some point this season, but the rival Colorado State coach decided to amp up the rivalry a little bit and say that his mama always said, when you talk to men, you take off your hat, take off your sunglasses, and speak directly to him. That seemed to spur on Deion. He launched these new shades, which are beautiful. They're called blenders. We looked online. They're about $80 a piece. We could have got them for. I'm terrible with sunglasses, though, man. I've broken and lost so many pairs and just wasted money. So I decided I would beg out to not get a pair. I can go buy a dollar store pair and be just as happy. I did buy a dollar store pair this weekend. I'm sure they'll last a week or two, just like the $80 pair would. $80 is reasonable, though. I've seen sunglasses hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So when I heard $80, I thought reasonable, but no point getting me sunglasses for a gift or for myself. I'm gonna lose them or break them, and it's just money down the tube. So, but speaking of this game, wow. Colorado went in 20-point favorites, and everybody expected them to lay a spanking down on Colorado State, but Colorado State played great, ended up having a 2-touchdown lead on Colorado, and looking like they were going to pull off the big upset. They were coming in 0-1 and not looking very strong, and this game turned out to be an absolute amazing shootout. The total yards that Colorado State put up was 499, 397 passing yards and 102 rushing yards. Buffalo's had 418 total yards, 348 through the air and only 70 on the ground. They both had 24 first downs. Amazing shootout. Incredible. I can't believe some of the numbers that I'm seeing here. Deion Sanders, Deion's son, is the Colorado Buffaloes quarterback, if you didn't know. 38 for 47, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. But wow, look at those numbers. Those are amazing numbers. I think he's going to actually be in the Heisman conversation, amazingly enough, at a Colorado college that's been, an afterthought for most people when they think of major college teams and guys that could go places to, actually be in Heisman consideration. Listen to the numbers from his receiving core. Xavier Weaver, 9 catches, 98 yards and a touchdown. Michael Harrison, 7 catches, 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Jimmy Horn Jr., 7 catches, 66 yards and a touchdown. Absolutely phenomenal. It went into double overtime. They both scored a touchdown in the first overtime. Colorado came down, scored a second touchdown in overtime, got a 2-point conversion, and were able to stop them as Colorado State went down. Colorado State's numbers are this: Braden Fowler Nicolosi, their quarterback, 34 for 47, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately, 3 picks, so that helped Colorado make that huge comeback. But listen to his receiving course. Taylor Horton, Torrey Horton, T Horton, Tim Horton's Canadian. You always got to think of that. 16 receptions, 133 yards, and TD, and he even threw a touchdown himself, a 1-yard touchdown strike. We got Lewis Brown, 10 catches, 131 yards, and a TD, and Dalen Holker, 6 catches, 109 yards, and 2 TDs. That's one of the reasons why people love college football. It is a shootout, and it can be, when you get these incredible athletes together out in space. Look at the numbers that they're putting up. And fun. Must have been such a fun game. Saturday night, I was out as well, so only got to see the highlights. Got a really good recap from my father, who called me on Sunday morning to ask me if I saw the game. I couldn't find it anywhere locally here to record it, which really made me mad. ESPN was supposed to be showing it, and TSN typically picks up that feed, so you get a good chance to watch games that ESPN features. But for some reason, TSN was showing other programming. The UFC, Lions, BC Lions were playing Ottawa that night, stuff like that. So unfortunately, did not get to see the whole entire game, but really perused the highlights over and over and saw lots of commentary over the weekend. This Deion Sanders going to college football has just changed the way we talk about college football, what we focus on. It's has the chance to really put it in the spotlight a lot more than it normally does, and has an opportunity to really blow away the kind of numbers that we normally see. So good on Deion going there. He's having fun, really changing lives, and it will be it's going to be a fun season. I don't remember ever talking about Colorado Buffaloes before, a few podcasts ago, and so now we are week after week, and they're 3-0 coming out of the gate. They're going to have some very tough competition coming up. It's going to be a tough slog. They're playing Oregon, number 10 Oregon, this coming Saturday. And then they play USC, which is ranked number 5 in the nation right now. So, they don't have any cupcake games coming up. Arizona State, Stanford, UCLA after that. Colorado's ranked number 19 in the nation right now. UCLA 22. Actually, Colorado dropped 1 place from 18 to 19. I think because they struggled against Colorado State a little bit and had to pull out an overtime win. But they play Oregon State, which is 14th in the nation, Washington State, 21 in the nation, and then number 11 ranked Utah. So a lot of ranked opponents coming up. The Pac-12 is very highly ranked this year. 8 in the top 25. And yeah, this is unfortunately one of the last years for many of those programs. A lot of teams are jumping ship, so it's going to be a whole new landscape. Anyway, the other big thing, I'm wearing the Blue Jays pullover today, honoring a Blue Jays sweep over the weekend. Yeah, the numbers are crazy. After Thursday's loss against Texas, they got swept by Texas. Texas came in behind Toronto in the standings, and Toronto was hoping to, keep them back there. And all of a sudden, Texas comes in and sweeps the Blue Jays and just crushes them. 35-9 outscored them in the 4 games, and it wasn't even close, none of the games. And it really just seemed like, wow, this could be the low point of the season. Been such an up and down year, and they thought a lot of people thought, okay, they've blown their chance. They've lost a tie break now in case they tie Texas. Now Texas would get the wild card berth, and Blue Jays wouldn't. They also lost the they've lost the tiebreak with Seattle Mariners, who they're also battling, and it started looking bad. They're on the outside looking in. I saw some numbers where it said at the end of play on Thursday, the Blue Jays were now considered, their odds of making the playoffs were 33.6%. The Rangers up to 88.4%, and the Mariners at 80.6%. After the weekend, the Rangers and the Mariners got swept. The Blue Jays pulled off a sweep, and now it's reversed the numbers. 78.8% that the Blue Jays will make the playoffs. Rangers 71.6%, and the Mariners down to 52.8%. So yeah, wild that a weekend series could change things so very much. And yeah, it has flipped the script, as they say. This team, the Blue Jays, has been super frustrating this year. Every time you think, okay, they're going to go on a run, bam, they start losing. Once they hit the bottom, then they go on a winning streak, and it's just been, you never can tell what's going to happen with this team. Great to see them pull out the wins. They weren't, they didn't blow out Boston. They squeaked out a 3-2 win yesterday. Chapman got a walk-off double. A 4-3 victory on Saturday in a 13-inning affair, and then a 3-0 shutout on Friday. But all games were close and tight. Now they head to the Bronx, play the Yankees. The last 12 games left. The last 12 games are all against New York and Tampa. 3-game series against New York, then 3-game series against Tampa. Go back to Toronto, 3-game series against New York, 3-game series against Tampa. So they've struggled against the AL East this year, especially Baltimore and Tampa. But the Yankees have had a tough year. This is going to be one of their worst showings in decades, and this will be, this is tough. Tough for New York Yankees fans. I am a Yankees fan, die hard. I do love the Blue Jays still too, but yeah, this is tough to see the Yankees struggle this much. Made the playoffs, I think, 19 years in a row, and always in the mix. Even when they have a little bit of a swoon through the year, they make some moves and pull in some talent, and show the world that they're able to pull it off. Haven't won a World Series in a very long time, but always in the mix, but not this year. So yeah, maybe Toronto can capitalize on that. Yeah, my allegiance right now is with the Blue Jays making it. Hopefully, I'm really hoping Blue Jays make it, the Mariners make it, and Texas ends up falling off. Sorry to all my fans, or to all our fans of this show that are Texas fans, but yeah, that's the team that I hope are on the outside looking in, and at the end of 12 games here, heading into October baseball. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, I watch every game. I'm sure any Blue Jays fans will say the same. I was talking with lots of my friends over the weekend that are Jays fans, and a little bit of renewed optimism after that 4-game spanking by Texas. It looked very bleak, and it wasn't did not seem like this was in the cards, but nice that they turned it around. Let's hope they can keep it up against the Yankees and the Rays. Rays have just actually clinched last night, as did Baltimore. So both those teams know they're in the playoffs. They're still battling for the top of the division. I think Baltimore just took a 2-game lead over Tampa, but both teams have clinched playoff spots. So maybe that means, yeah, we're resting a few of the guys, maybe not as much intensity, and maybe the Jays can take advantage of that. Speaking of the Rays, I heard they just got some approval. I don't know if it's been finalized, but there is a new 30,000 seat stadium proposal that they're supposedly, yeah, putting together, and might be exactly what's needed there. This team has really competed at the top of the AL East and been one of the best teams in baseball for the past half dozen years, and the fan support is just still not there. And a lot of people say it's because this terrible stadium that they're in. So yeah, maybe Kevin Cash has been able to keep this team relevant and up at the elite top of the Major League Baseball for long enough that a stadium is now in the works and can be put together. And speaking of stadiums, I heard a really amazing story today about the Milwaukee Brewers. They have had their local government pledge $614 million for stadium upgrades for their stadium. So yeah, winning baseball breeds the ability to get money to yeah, upgrade your stadium, upgrade your team, and keep you at the top. Blue Jays had incredible stadium upgrades this off season. I heard more in the works, and yeah, it's winning baseball. That's what makes it happen. So enjoy this series this week. Enjoy these last dozen games. Can't believe how fast the baseball season flew. It just seems like a couple of weeks ago that I did the baseball preview with Corey and Barry, and we had so much fun putting that together, and bam, the season's just absolutely flown by. Love October baseball, can't wait for it. Just very excited. Hopefully the Jays can make it, and hopefully they don't face the Mariners right away, who knocked them out in 2 straight games last year. That'd be rough for yeah, Blue Jays fans. But I consider myself a Mariners fan as well, growing up here in the Pacific Northwest, and spending lots of time down in Seattle, moving down there at one point. Yeah, I've always cheered on the Mariners. There was a very long, bleak period for the Mariners, and I think they lost a generation of fans. But this Julio Rodriguez era and all the moves that have been made by their management group have been great. And yeah, loving seeing the yeah, just seeing the support and seeing you know, we get our American channels from the Seattle area, and so now, you know, I'm tuning in, seeing a lot of Mariners reports where they were way down the list when you know, the sports highlight shows came on. You know, it was Seahawks, and yeah, the Mariners were an afterthought, but now they're competing, making the playoffs, and yeah, looking like a very strong team again. So yeah, fingers crossed, Mariners and Jays make it. Rangers on the outside looking in, and yeah, better luck next year. Let's hope. Yeah, another big story over the weekend was Max Verstappen's 10-race win streak has ended. This race took place in Singapore. Carlos Sainz from the Ferrari team won the race. Lando Norris from the McLaren team took second, and Lewis Hamilton ended up on the podium in third, his 196th podium in his career. George Russell crashing on the last lap as he was in third place. The Mercedes team with Lewis Hamilton. His tires, I guess, just couldn't grip the corner when he came around and crashed into the barricade. Very distraught and downtrodden. George Russell, but yeah, good to see Lewis Hamilton back on the podium. He moved ahead of Fernando Alonso in the driver's standings into third place behind Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. So yeah, great, great to see Max Verstappen win those 10 in a row, but nice to see other teams in the mix. Max ended up finishing in, I believe it's fifth. I should know this. Can't fifth or sixth. I think he ended up into fifth. They struggled all weekend. He qualified 11th, and so yeah, his streak is over, but super impressive. First race of the entire season that Red Bull wasn't on the top of the podium. So finally, some of these teams maybe have caught up. Next week's race will be in Japan. So yeah, excited about that. Love that I can PVR it and watch it later. I got up and watched the start of it and then thought, oh, this is too early, and watched it later. So enjoyed that a lot. Okay, news from the world of hockey. One of the biggest stories over the weekend was the Columbus Blue Jackets coach Mike Babcock was brought in this offseason to take over the reins in Columbus, and he's out. He resigned, I guess, yesterday amid a very weird scandal. Yeah, I like to dig a lot deeper into the reasoning behind it and what the heck went on, but I guess he was trying to learn about some players, according to him, and wanted to meet with them. And when they met, he wanted to see their phone. He wanted to go into their phone and look at, I guess, pictures, I guess, apps, I guess, whatever their activity was, maybe. Some guys thought, all right, fine, go ahead. Other guys said, no, this is an invasion of my privacy. I guess they probably all handed their phones over to him. But when you're a new player and you got a new coach coming in, he makes a request to you. It's kind of hard to just turn him down because he holds your career in his hands in a lot of regards. He benches you. He puts you on the third or fourth D pairing, or third D pairing, or third or fourth line, backup goalie. I don't know. Like, honestly, a new coach coming in, you think he's got a lot of power, and so maybe you don't have a ton of time to think of all the ramifications, but for some reason he requested looking at guys' phones, and I guess this was done in his office, outside at other locations, and somehow the Spitting Chicklets podcast, Paul Bissonnette and those boys there got wind of it, made some remarks on their podcast, and that started a bit of a media firestorm, and ended up in the resignation of Mike Babcock. I think this probably ends his coaching career in the NHL. He got fired out of Toronto for some kind of bullying type tactics, and surprisingly, I really didn't see that side of Mike when I had any interactions with him. Good Saskatchewan boy that at one point signed the largest contract in NHL coaching history when he took over the Leafs. Was really successful in his prior career with Detroit, and you thought from afar, this was one of the premier coaches in the NHL, and a guy that would have been revered, respected, and probably under Hall of Fame consideration at the end of his career, but two big flameouts, bullying accusations in Toronto and Detroit, and then this here in Columbus. So, I wouldn't put the nail in his coffin, so to speak, coaching career coffin, but especially seeing that Bill Peters was hired in Lethbridge to be their coach after the resignation back in Calgary over bullying and racist remarks and things that were brought to light by Akeem Aliu. And so I was shocked that Lethbridge brought Bill Peters in. I don't know why. I'm sure there's dozens and maybe hundreds of great coaches out there that could have taken over the reins and did things with this team. I know Peters has had some success, in the NHL with the national team and things like that too. But a bit weird. But we'll see what shakes down out of this. But they've made a change in Columbus before Mike even coached a game. So Pascal will take over the coaching duties there, and we'll see. Hopefully, I think Columbus made a huge mistake hiring him in the first place. Didn't do their homework and didn't realize that there could be some backlash. And I'm sure there are some former players and guys in the league that don't like Mike Babcock and will bring things to light when he has missteps like this. And he didn't handle himself well there, according to everybody that I've heard from. And he's out. So pretty crazy news from the world of hockey, NHL there. Big news today as well. The Professional Women's Hockey League held their inaugural draft today. The 6 teams all started selecting players. Great to see it broadcast on TSN. And Taylor Heisey, Minnesota University player, was the first overall pick to Minnesota. Toronto picked Jacqueline Larocque, and then Boston picked Alina Muller. New York got Ella Shelton, and Ottawa picked Savannah Harmon, and Montreal got Erin Ambrose. So great to see this league coming together. I'm excited for the possibilities of this league, and hopefully with some media coverage like I saw today, a lot of good backing. Mark Walter is part of this ownership group. He is part of the LA Dodgers ownership group too. And Billie Jean King is there. I see Brian Burke is the head of the Players Union. So some good pieces. Marie-Philippe Poulin, one of the greatest female hockey players of all time, signed with Montreal about a week or two ago. And then Sarah Nurse in Toronto. So some names that might be familiar to you, hockey fans out there. And good to see this thing coming together. I'm very excited, and I hope it's very highly supported. I hope they promote it well. I hope they are very successful, and we can see it rival like the WNBA or even more. I've enjoyed watching women's hockey when I have at the national level, and I hope that they are able to garner tons of support. Love to get some of them on my podcast here, and we'll make some efforts to do so. Before I turn to the NFL Week 2 and do that breakdown, I do want to mention the world of mixed martial arts and how it's kind of been rocked in a few ways recently. We know how the world of sports has been has been really changed by the involvement of the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, and them wading into many sports and trying to upset the balance with huge deep pockets. We saw it with the world of golf, and Liv becoming a sworn enemy to the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, and ended up deciding to create this merger. Huge amount of money. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars were handed over to these players, and a lot of them finally cashing in on all their hard work and fame and notoriety in the world of golf. And we'll see. That merger hasn't been completed yet, but it really helped all the PGA Tour players. There's going to be a lot more money in the coffers going forward, as well as all the guys that jump to Live, and we'll see how it all shakes down. DP World Tour players. It has helped the world of golf in so many ways. We'll see how it's done in the world of mixed martial arts, as $100 million has been pledged so far to the PFL. And these 6 regional leagues will be starting. They've been able to sign some big names. Obviously, Francis Ngannou was their biggest signing from the UFC, but I think look out. There's going to be a huge defection from the world of the UFC into the PFL. PFL does have a good TV contract, and has a lot of starting to get a lot of notoriety. The UFC just finally made their announcement of their big merger with the WWE and Endeavor and all that got put together. But I hear today that there was massive layoffs from the UFC and the WWE. So that's not going to go over very well. The 2 promotions are now under one roof. It's called the TKO Group Holdings. And there's a lot of familiar faces at the top, but we will see what's shaken down. But I understand that there was huge amount of layoffs today, and over 100 people have been let go, both employees and a number of executives, part of the initial cuts. The majority of the cuts coming primarily from WWE, but look out. Dana White is no longer the president. He is now considered the CEO, I believe. That's what they've announced. So he said it won't change much for him, but I don't know who he's got to report to now, and the differences, and if they'll butt heads. But it's going to be crazy, because if UFC wants to try to compete with the PFL, I think they're going to have a little bit of difficulty, because the majority of the UFC fighters, I think there's around 700 on the roster, are relatively underpaid, and I would suspect that the PFL will start going after many of the guys, and it might not just be the stars, it might be lots of this roster. The Dana White Contender Series, it happens every Tuesday, an amazing show. It's created a very amazing pipeline for Dana White, for the UFC matchmakers, for a lot of exciting new talent that's coming from all around the world. And you can keep paying those guys quite small salaries, because they're just happy to be there. But the people that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into the sport for many years, and some of them aren't the top of the top. Some of them are just a lot of great fighters might be looking at moving on and signing elsewhere. So it's It's going to be a fight. Dana White said that, he's happy. He thinks that this injects a huge amount more money into the UFC and will enable him to do a lot more. They're talking about spending big money having these performance institutes all over the world. They're putting one in Africa. They're about to open one in Mexico, and so we'll see. This is going to be a big fight, and we'll see how it shakes down. But I'm kind of I'm kind of interested. Like I said, it shook up the world of golf. It's shaken up the world of boxing. F1 I mentioned earlier, the soccer, football around the world. So a lot of money can and really change a sport, and we'll see if it does for this. So okay, let's turn to the world of the NFL. As I said, 10 one-score games yesterday. Really looking forward to this season ahead. 2 games tonight, one about to start pretty soon. So let's get into it. I want to start with the NFC East and go right away to the Eagles beating the Vikings. That was Thursday game, 34-28. Amazing good running game from DeAndre Swift. He was basically a non-factor in their opening game, and he came up massive. 28 carries, 175 yards and a touchdown, and 3 catches for just 6 yards through the air. But 28 carries, that's hauling a load, as they say. Jalen Hurts had not a lot of yards through the air, just 193, but and threw a touchdown, but also had 2 rushing touchdowns himself on 12 carries for 35 yards. Good running game also from Boston Scott. Just 5 carries for 40 yards, 8 yards average. That's always going to please the coach. Devontae Smith had a big receiving game. He was 4 for 13, 111 yards, and the Eagles are now 2-0. Kirk Cousins had a huge game too. This was a really good shootout between 2 good QBs. He had 364 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, man, this guy is good. Holy cow. 11 catches, 159 yards. TJ Hawkinson, highest paid tight end in the game. Another big weapon for Kirk there. 7 catches, 66 yards, and a couple TDs. Jordan Addison, the new rookie coming in, 3 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown, and for 24-yard average for his catches. And KJ Osborne had the other touchdown on 3 catches for 34 yards. Eagles, really looking good. I think this team is poised to have a good run again, and might be able to reach the upper echelon, get to the Super Bowl, and win into the game this year after losing to KC in the Super Bowl in February. Eagles go to Tampa. They play the Bucks 1 week from tonight. The early Monday game, there's a doubleheader again next Monday. And the Vikings, they host the LA Chargers in the early window on Sunday. Okay, Dallas. They beat the New York Giants 40-0 last week. This week they beat the New York Jets 30-10. So spanked both New York teams, 70-10 aggregate score. Wow. Dak was great. 31 for 38, 255 yards, a couple touchdowns, no picks. And CeeDee Lamb was his favorite target, 11 catches, 143 yards. We saw Schoonmaker get his first catch and get his first touchdown, just a 1-yard TD for him. Tony Pollard was a workhorse. Holy cow, touching 32 touches, 24 on the ground for 72 yards, and another 37 through the air with 7 catches. Jake Ferguson had a touchdown catch, 5 field goals from Brandon Aubrey, the kicker that they brought in from the MLS. Looking pretty good. Their Cowboys D was just huge again, though. Like, man, that team has and incredible defense. Micah Parsons was a beast with 2 sacks, 4 tackles. They got picks from Malik Hooker, Trayvon Diggs, and Javon Curse. All had a pick of Zach Wilson. The Zach Wilson experiment didn't go well last year. They thought he would be relegated to a backup this year after Aaron Rodgers goes down. Now suddenly he's the man, and showed his warts and his flaws. He was only 12 for 27, 170 yards, threw a touchdown, but 3 interceptions. Not good. He did throw a touchdown to Garrett Wilson, 68-yarder in the second quarter. Not sure why he's not trying to get to Garrett Wilson all the time. That touchdown that Garrett Wilson made in the first game, the catch he made was just spectacular on a very poorly thrown ball by Zach. But I think New York's going to have to bring in some guys and test them out, because I don't know if Zach Wilson is the guy, and you put so much money and effort into trying to put together a Super Bowl winning team, and with Zach Wilson under center, it's not going to happen for them. So listen to these numbers. The possession numbers: 42-45 for Dallas, 17-45 for New York, 4 turnovers for New York, none for Dallas. First downs were 26-12. The Jets were only 1 for 10 on third down. Total plays 89-46. This was a walk. Dallas is happy they got the 2 New York teams to start the year and come out of the gate 2-0 to really assert their dominance and be one of the forces to be reckoned with this year. Dallas goes to Arizona, so they should be 3-0. They play in the late window Sunday, 1:25 Pacific time, and the Jets host the Patriots, and interdivisional rival there. Sticking to the NFC East, the Commanders went to Denver and pulled off a huge comeback. They were down 21-3 and looked like they were terrible. Broncos started well and were taking it to them, but Washington ended up pulling out the 35-33 win. Sam Howell was good. 299 yards passing. That 300 mark, 1 yard away. Come on, give the guy a yard so all the fantasy people can get that 300 yards. A couple touchdowns from him. Brian Robinson. Everyone's talking about Bijan Robinson, but Brian Robinson putting up good numbers. 18 for 87, couple touchdowns, and 2 catches for 42 yards through the air. Terry McLaurin had another touchdown, and Bates and Gibson 3 catches each. Logan Thomas had the other TD there. Broncos, they had a chance to tie the game. They were up, then they were down, and then they threw a Hail Mary. Russell Wilson threw that ball perfectly, actually completed it in the end zone, time expiring, and then they couldn't convert the 2-point try to tie it up. Cortland Sutton was in the end zone, and he was briefly open. Russell Wilson threw it to him, and the defensive corner knocked it away. And Denver goes to 0-2 and looking in trouble. But man, this was a game that just was tale of two halves, back and forth. And that Hail Mary was incredible. If they make that 2-pointer, it goes to overtime, we got a different narrative. We're talking about Russell Wilson, wow, but he suffers another loss, and you can't blame this on Russ. 308 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 56 yards on the ground himself. Marvin Mims Jr., probably about the 5th string receiver going into camp here. He had 113 yards on 2 catches, and his 1 touchdown was a 60-yard catch. And Brandon Johnson had 2 touchdowns himself, a 15-yarder and a 16-yarder. Russell Wilson became the first player in NFL history with 40,000 passing yards and 5,000 rushing yards. If he doesn't turn this thing around in Denver, he went from a surefire Hall of Famer to somebody that is flaming out as a bit of a dud. We'll see if they can turn this thing around. It's only week 2, and we don't want to overreact. We had overreaction, Monday last week after game 1. We're having a bit of an overreaction possibly today after game 2. But yeah, that was one of those epic Hail Mary passes that should go down in history as one of those amazing ones. But when you don't back it up with the 2-point convert to tie it and or win it, unfortunately, it goes down as a loss, and it might be lost in the shuffle. So Washington hosts the Bills in that early window, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, and Denver goes to Miami. So a really tough test there against the Dolphins, who are really playing well. Okay, so let's turn to the last team in the NFC East, the New York Football Giants. They were down 20-0 after the first half. So 60-0 they're down, and in the season, and you're thinking, oh my God, like what has gone on here? What is happening to this team? You thought Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, Brian Daboll's come in. They made the playoffs last year, and you think this organization's turned some things around. I don't know what Daboll said to them in the locker room, but they were able to march out, pull off an incredible comeback victory over Arizona. I was thinking Barry Grant Jr., after his prediction that the Cards were going to go winless this season, was already out. I kind of thought that a little bit on the first week, as Arizona had the lead for a while. They had the lead for a majority of this game too, and couldn't seal it off. The Giants were able to pull off this huge win for them, and they were, as I said, 6 scoreless quarters to start the year. That was the first time since 1934 that it happened, and they pull out the 31-28 comeback victory. Daniel Jones, massive numbers, 321 yards through the air, a couple touchdowns, and 9 for 53 on the ground with a running touchdown. Saquon Barkley looked good and also looked bad. Hurt his ankle really severely, had to leave this game after putting up pretty good numbers, but another pass thrown to him slips through his fingers, ends up getting intercepted. Second week in a row, and not a good look there. He is out for about 3 weeks, they say, with this ankle injury. So tough off season for him, trying to get a contract extension, and week 2 he's already grounded. He had 23 touches, 17 for 63 with 1 touchdown on the ground, 6 catches for 29 with 1 touchdown through the air, but unable to finish this game, and won't be available for probably, I guess, the rest of this month and into October. So other guys that had big days were Jalen Hyatt, 2 catches, 89 yards. Darren Waller, great tight end they brought over, 6 catches, 76 yards, and Darius Slayton, 3 catches, 62 yards. Isaiah Hodgins, 4 catches, 40 yards with a touchdown, 11-yard touchdown. Graham Gano hit the 34-yard field goal with just 19 seconds left to give them the win. Cards 0-2, and with 2 choke jobs, I guess you'd have to say, can be in big trouble. They host the Cowboys, as I just mentioned earlier, in the later window, Sunday, 1:25 Pacific, 4:25 Eastern. And the Giants doesn't get easy. They head to the 49ers for the Thursday nighter, just 3 days away. So speaking of the 49ers, they faced the Rams. They were able to win 40-23. Yeah, Rams are playing a lot better than most people suspected. They thought to be the bottom dweller in this division. They go into Seattle last week and get a huge victory over the Seahawks. The 49ers used Christian McCaffrey, as always. They got 3 rushing touchdowns. Christian was 20 for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. Deebo Samuel had one of the touchdowns on the ground, and Brock Purdy scored the other on the ground. Purdy was pretty decent number, 17 for 25, 206. No touchdowns, no interceptions, but I was able to really lead this team to victory. He's got so many weapons that he doesn't have to have great games for them to win. Demadre Lenore and Isaiah Oliver picked off Matthew Stafford, who was great except for those 2 picks. I don't know, like, you see his numbers and you think, oh man, like, really good year, but you can't throw those interceptions. I think that was the difference in this game. He was 34 for 55, 307 yards and a touchdown. And Kyron Williams, the rookie they brought in, he had 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air. Puka Nacua set a rookie record with 15 catches for 147 yards after last week's incredible effort. And Tutu Atwell was 7 catches for 77 yards. 2 huge weapons that are filling in for Cooper Kupp and really helping this team play well. I expected, I expect the Rams to have a good year after watching those first 2 games. I'm pretty impressed. Really tight game over the Niners, who are one of the best teams in the NFC. So Niners, as I mentioned earlier, host the Giants on the Thursday nighter, and the Rams play on Monday, the later game Monday, 5:15 Pacific, 8:15 Eastern in Cincinnati. So we'll see them there. Okay, I mentioned Seahawks a little earlier. Losing to the Rams last week, a lot of people were shaking their head. What the hell happened? But they were able to get a huge 37-31 overtime win over the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Geno Smith was great, 32 for 41, 328 yards, a couple touchdowns, and 3 carries for 20 yards on the ground. The Lions lost a couple fumbles and threw a pick. Those were their undoing for sure. Kenneth Walker III, he did a lot better in this game. He had a couple rushing touchdowns on 17 carries. Tyler Lockett also had 2 touchdowns. He made 8 catches for 59 yards with those 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, 6 catches, 75 yards. Trey Brown had the huge pick 6 off of Jared Goff. And Goff had good numbers, but that pick was loomed very large and really made such a big difference in this game. Tyler Lockett with the walk-off victory, catching that ball from Geno as he rolled out to the right, hit Tyler in stride. Tyler was heading out of bounds, had to dive, hit the pylon, and did so to get the walk-off victory for the Seattle Seahawks. Very impressive. It's going to be a big highlight. Jared Goff, as I mentioned, good numbers, 28 for 35, 323 yards and 3 touchdowns. Did throw that 1 pick. He ended his 384 pass attempts without a pick. That ended there. That was the 3rd longest streak in history, longest passing attempts without a pick. So, can't blame the loss on him. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 6 catches, 107 yards. Josh Reynolds had a couple touchdowns on his 5 catches. Rookie Sam Laporta had also 5 catches for 63 yards. Khalif Raymond had a TD on his 2 catches. And David Montgomery led the backfield with 16 carries, 67 yards, and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs also had 14 touches, 7 for 17 on the ground, 7 for 39 in the air. This was a special game as well because Barry Sanders' statue was unveiled outside the stadium. And Barry Sanders, likely the greatest Detroit Lion to ever don their uniform. And yeah, I think you'll see some. If you can watch some footage, if you've been a while since you've seen him play, or I never did, load up some Barry Sanders footage. You'll see a lot of broken ankles on the guys trying to tackle him, and just an incredible force that we wish would have played a lot more years because he was just one of the greatest of all time. So, okay, so Seattle hosts Carolina on Sunday. This is the later window, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. Detroit hosts Atlanta on Sunday, and that's the earlier window. So we'll see there. Okay, we're going to turn to the NFC North. Green Bay and Atlanta. This was a back and forth affair. Two young quarterbacks, Desmond Ridder and Jordan Love, facing each other. This ended up coming down to a late kick, ended in the last minute. Young Wee Koo ended up getting a 24-yard field goal to seal the deal. 25-24. The Atlanta Falcons 2-0 now under Desmond Ridder, and Green Bay fell to 1-1. Ridder, yeah, I'm impressed with him. I like what I'm seeing. And then Bijan Robinson, what a draft pick this guy was. He had another big game, 19 carries, 124 yards, and 4 catches for 48 through the year. Ridder had a great game, 237 yards passing with a touchdown. He also got a rushing touchdown on 10 carries for 39 yards there. So liking this Atlanta Falcons team. Jason Cameron, get back healthy, come back. I would love to revel with you. Your Falcons are 2-0, and you had written them off heading into the season. So yeah, looking pretty solid so far. Drake London had a good game, 6 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown. Mac Hollins was good. He had a touchdown catch that was waved off as his left heel came down and just briefly touched the end line. Looked like both his toes were touching in, and both his heels were off the ground. And then they went to video replay, and you saw his left heel might have just briefly touched before they called it a touchdown originally, and then they waved it off. So tough. But he ended up getting a couple of great catches later, and had a solid game. 3 catches, 60 yards. Jonnu Smith, very smart pickup for them as a tight end, 4 catches, 47 yards. Green Bay was outscored in the fourth, and they just sort of let this slip away. Aaron Jones' injury is really hampering them in this game. He's a big loss when he's not in there. Love was pretty good with 3 touchdowns, only had 151 yards passing, but I like what I'm seeing from him so far. AJ Dillon was the guy to replace Aaron Jones, but he only had 55 yards on 15 carries. Devontae Wicks got his first career touchdown, as well as Jaden Reed also got his first career touchdown. The rookie. Yeah, this is a very young team. Rookies on offense all over the place, and I don't expect Green Bay is going to be great this year, but good to see some young guys already having some success. And they really had this win, but Koo was able to get a lot of field goals that pulled it out in the end. So Green Bay hosts New Orleans on Sunday. Derek Carr, as we're about to see the Saints kick off here. And Atlanta goes to Detroit, and that's the early window on Sunday. Okay, And the other NFC North is the terrible Chicago Bears, 0-2, headed for a bad season again. Worst team in the NFL last year, number 1 overall pick that they made a big trade to Carolina for Bryce Young. They lost this game to Tampa 27-17. Justin Fields threw 2 picks, and the one that was so costly was the one to Shaq Barrett. He's in the end zone. I don't know what he saw, maybe looking for a bit of a screen or something. Tosses it right to Shaq Barrett. Easiest pick 6 you're ever going to see. Probably grabbed it at about the 2 or 3 yard line and just had to lumber in and fall into the end zone. And it was Chicago needed to march down and had a chance at it. I believe it was 20-17 at the time. And unfortunately, some of the blame is going on Chase Claypool, Canadian receiver from Abbotsford, BC here. He had a pass interference call on one of the plays before that pushed them all the way back down to close to their end zone. And he was very maligned from some plays last week that he didn't take the man. He didn't tackle. He was very lackluster. He was able to get a touchdown, his first Chicago Bears touchdown in this game, but there was talk that he might have just been put in the doghouse, and we won't see him again after last week's debacle. He made a few big glaring errors again this week. He kind of quit on one ball that was picked, and then this bad pass interference call after they had completed a pass and marched it quite far out of their end, and they were looking like they had some openings. Called back. He was given the penalty, and it ended up Shaq Barrett pulled off that victory and didn't give Justin Fields another chance. Baker Mayfield had another good game. This guy's amazingly enough resurrecting his career. 26 for 34, 317 yards and a touchdown, 6 for 17 on the ground. You gotta love to throw to the ball to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They got some incredible weapons there. Mike Evans was massive, 6 catches, 171 yards and a touchdown. And Rachaad White had a great game. He had 103 yards total, 17 for 73 with 1 touchdown on the ground and another 30 yards through the air on 5 catches. So this team looking good. Good beginning, but very tough for the Bears. We'll see what happens with Chase Claypool. He had so much promise in Pittsburgh, and you thought going to Chicago, a young team, maybe he becomes one of their top guys. But after they traded for DJ Moore, and I don't know what's gone on there, but it's not working out very well for Chase Claypool. Justin Fields, decent day, 16 for 29, 211 yards and a touchdown. Rushed in a touchdown too, but those 2 interceptions were brutal. That offensive line, like, why aren't you addressing that offensive line though? Like, he was running for his life again. He endured 6 sacks, tons of hurries. Those interceptions, you could probably blame on pressure as well. So tough, when you got an offensive line that's that leaky and causing you to have to run for your life like you did last year. It's not going to bode well for a good season. So Chicago goes to Kansas City. It's going to be tough. They play in that 1:25 window on Sunday. Tampa hosts Philly. That's the early 4:15 game Monday. So the one that's just kicking off right now as we're sitting here recording this. It's the Saints are 1-0, Carolina 0-1. DJ Chark is questionable. I don't believe he played today for Tampa. Derek Carr, as I mentioned, looked good for the Saints. He is 0-3, unfortunately, on Monday Night Football. So I guess he's hoping to reverse those numbers. Those must have happened in the Raiders, but yeah, we'll see. I definitely think Saints have the big advantage in this game and should be able to yeah, end up pulling out a victory. The quarterback experience difference between Derek Carr and Bryce Young is massive, so good luck. The Saints go to Green Bay next Sunday, play in the early window, and Carolina goes to Seattle and plays in the later window Sunday, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. The Sunday nighter last night, we're turning to the AFC now. Sunday nighter, AFC East, Dolphins squeaked out a 24-17 victory over the Patriots. Man, I just can't believe how many chances New England had to try to, get even and try to pull this game out. Mac Jones did many chances, but yeah, Dolphins were just a bit better. Tua was good, 250 yards passing with 1 touchdown, and Jalen Waddle, great, 4 catches, 86 yards. Unfortunately, suffered a bit of a concussion. We'll see what happens with him. Tyreek Hill, another touchdown, 5 catches for 40 yards. Raheem Mostert, I don't know why San Fran gave up on this guy. I guess because they got Christian McCaffrey, but he was great again. 18 carries, 121 yards, and a couple touchdowns. Yeah, I love Mostert. I think he's going to be huge for Miami this year. Mac Jones, 31 for 42, threw a touchdown. Unfortunately, threw 1 pick. Ramondre Stevenson had 15 carries, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Devontae Parker, 6 catches, 59 yards. And Hunter Henry had the other touchdown, 6 catches, 52 yards. New England, yeah, 0-2. Miami, 2-0. Yeah, New England seems to be the consensus pick for the bottom of this division, and the Dolphins will be battling it out, I guess, with Buffalo for the top after Aaron Rodgers went down. Jets aren't favored very much anymore. Miami hosts Denver Sunday, the early window. New England hosts those Jets on the early window Sunday as well. Okay, let's talk about Buffalo. After their disappointing loss to the Jets, a lot of blame went on Josh Allen's head. 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and a fumble. A lot of people were very critical of him. And yeah, he just came out this game, completed his first 13 passes of the game. They absolutely stomped on the Raiders, 38-10. Raiders got the ball first and marched all the way down the field. Jimmy G looked great, and they scored a touchdown, and then their offense was pretty much completely shut down after that. Buffalo had 450 yards of total offense, twice as much possession time as the Raiders. They had more than twice as many first downs. They were 7 of 13 on third down, and 3 of 4 on fourth down. Josh Allen, 31 for 37, 274 yards and 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, which was huge for him. And he barely ran the ball, only 3 carries, 7 yards. Yeah, so he didn't put himself in harm's way like he was quite a bit on that original Monday nighter. James Cook was huge, 17 carries, 123 yards, 7.2 yards average. You got to love that. And both Damian Harris and Latavius Murray had touchdown runs. Yeah, so yeah, good running attack is going to help any team, especially help their passing attack as well. Gabe Davis led the receiving core with six catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs had 7 catches, 66 yards. Khalil Shakir and Dawson Knox both had touchdown catches themselves. And Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano both picked off Jimmy G, who was really shut down after that first drive. It was unreal. Devontae Adams had the only touchdown. Unfortunately, he suffered an injury as well, and I'll hopefully get an update. I think I have some details written down at the end of this. So, yeah, you don't want to lose him very long. Garoppolo just he's never has great numbers. He just wins, but not on this day. 38-10, not even close. Trey Tucker only had one carry for 34 yards. So why doesn't he have more carries? Crazy. Jacobs. I think this was one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Josh Jacobs. 9 carries for -2 yards. I think I heard something like the only time in NFL history that a running back that won the rushing title last year has ever been held to minus yards the following season. So I don't know how he was just completely shut out of this game. He made 5 catches and 51 yards out in space. Running through that Buffalo defense wasn't a good option for Jacobs, and -2 yards on the day. So as you know, covering that AFC East, as I mentioned, Jets, we covered him in that NFC East breakdown. Buffalo continues. They go to Washington, playing the early window Sunday, and the Raiders host the Steelers, and that's the Sunday nighter. So Raiders Steelers, that'll be a great battle. I look forward to seeing that on the Sunday nighter. So okay, turning to the AFC West. Chiefs didn't look great against Detroit opening night, and obviously missed Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. And guess what? Both of them are back. Chris Jones signed a 1-year deal. Holdout didn't help him at all. He lost some money, a couple $1 million holding out, and got a modest raise. Incentives, but crazy incentives, like winning the defensive player of the year and Super Bowl victory and all this kind of stuff. So he might regret that holdout, but I could tell on that Thursday nighter when he came and he sat in the private suite and he was hanging out, he missed the field, and they missed him big time. He had a monster game. He only had 35 snaps, but 1.5 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, 1 tackle for loss, and a couple of pass defense. Liked what he brought. Travis Kelce did get a touchdown catch, but seemed rusty. I think he had 9 targets and what did he have? 4 catches? Yeah, 4 catches, 26 yards, but 9 targets. So I'm sure they're going to be in a lot more sync as the year goes on. He's usually as sure-handed as you can have as a tight end. Throw the ball in his direction, he's coming down with it. Great to see it. Lots of talk about him dating Taylor Swift now. He's the newest Swiftie. I guess I see it. Kind of surprising news, but his brother was asked last night if that's definitely the case, and he wouldn't divulge it, but there's sure a lot of rumors out there, and I kind of believe that it is true. She goes through man quite frequently, so it might not last a long time, but he's the newest Swiftie, and she's on that epic tour that every city's trying to get a piece of because of the economic fallout that comes from it all. So maybe we'll see Travis Kelce in some of these concerts, and maybe dancing like Gronk used to do. We see him at all these big events. Kelce's quite the character. Those brothers are quite funny, and he gets a lot of notoriety and publicity, but it's not the same as Taylor Swift. So let's hope it's a match made in heaven, and we'll see a few little Swifties one day. Travis will be able to bring them to some KC games. And anyway, kind of hilarious news that Travis is rumored to be dating one of the most famous women on the planet. So just taking a quick look at the game here. Bryce Young is running for his life and launching the ball down the field. 3rd and 15 there. Yeah. Yeah, Carolina's not a good football team, and it's tough when these quarterbacks come out of college. He goes to Alabama, has an amazing college career, only the first player to ever win the Heisman out of Alabama, and then he has to come to just an absolute crap NFL team, and usually struggle. And these guys aren't used to struggling. Usually they're incredible in their high school career and their college career, and then they come in and they play with one of the worst teams in NFL. So we'll see how it comes together, but tough to be that number 1 overall pick. Everyone expects so much from you, but you come to an organization that's usually not doing very good at the time. So okay, so Chiefs just squeaked out a 17-9 win over the Jags. 17-9. That's not what I expected at all from them. Trevor Lawrence had a pretty decent game. 216 yards to the air, 5 for 26 on the ground, but he didn't throw any touchdowns. Christian Kirk had 110 yards through the air. Ridley had a couple catches. Zay Jones, no catches. There was 3 balls that Trevor Lawrence threw to receivers in the end zone and were initially ruled a touchdown, and all 3 ended up being out of bounds. I don't know if they were all ruled a touchdown immediately, but all 3 should have been a touchdown if the foot was this much moved over, this much moved this way or that way. 3 touchdowns called back were not because they were out of bounds. So come on, receivers, your job is to get your 2 feet down inside the grain and not on the white, and you failed to do so and let Trevor Lawrence down. This game easily could have went to the Jags, and it did not do that. The Chiefs play the Bears in KC in the later window Sunday, 1:25 Pacific, 4:25 Eastern, and the Jags host the sad sack Texans Sunday. So we will see that come together. Okay, we wanted to mention the Chargers. Okay, so the Chargers are 0-2. They definitely missed Austin Eckler. He was out, and that made such a massive difference. Chargers are 0-2 for the first time since 2017. I don't know what happened, but Justin Herbert had an opportunity in overtime and was 0-3 in that overtime drive, had to punt the ball to the Titans. Titans end up getting Nick Folk knocked in a 41-yard field goal in overtime to get the 27-24 victory. Man, they relied on Derrick Henry like crazy. I know Ryan Tannehill isn't the man, but like you're gonna burn out Derrick Henry. Let's see, he rushed the ball 25 times for 80 yards and a touchdown, and made 3 catches for 15 yards through the air. So 28 touches. That's too much. Like, I know the guy's a beast and he's huge and stuff, but you got 28 times the tacklers are gonna try to take him down, bash him. Man, you're burning this guy out. That's dumb. I know you got the victory, and it was okay, but I worry about his health. Tannehill was efficient. He was 20 for 24, 246 yards and 1 touchdown, and he ran for another 12-yard touchdown. So yeah, decent game, pretty good. But come on, get the ball into your receivers' hands. You got DeAndre Hopkins now. He only made 4 catches for 40 yards. You got to take it away from him a little bit. Nick Westbrook-Akine had the touchdown catch for them. Treylon Burks had 3 catches, 76 yards. Good numbers. Chris Moore had 1 catch, 49 yards. Herbert pretty decent. 305 yards and a couple touchdowns. Their running attack was just terrible, though. Missing Austin Eckler, as I mentioned. Brutal, not good. Keenan Allen was huge, as always. 8 catches, 111 yards, a couple touchdowns. Mike Williams, great contribution, 8 catches as well for 83 yards. Gerald Everett, 3 catches, 47, and Stone Smart, 1 catch, 24 yards. Thanks for the contribution, Mr. Smart. Chargers go to Vikings, try to get out of this 0-2 hole. 0-2 is okay, but 0-3, you're almost guaranteed to miss the playoffs. So Chargers better turn this around. I expect an incredible game next week against the Vikings. It's going to be great to see Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert in a shootout. I expect it'll be the game of the weekend. And the Titans head to the Browns. They're both in that early window on Sunday. AFC North, Baltimore leads it 2-0 after beating their division rival Cincinnati 27-24. Lamar Jackson was great. He was great. He's earning that huge salary. He signed 231 yards, couple touchdowns, also 54 on the ground. He was one of the biggest differences. Gus Edwards had a TD. Nelson Aguilar had a touchdown. And Mark Andrews, in his return, he missed opening week. He had 5 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Zay Flowers also had 4 catches, 62 yards. And then ODB, he's hurt. He got 3 catches, but he's hurt again. So Odell Beckham Jr., or Old Dirty Bastard, unfortunately is banged up, and I'll give you some details in a sec on his injury. So something is definitely wrong with Joe Burrow. He is questionable to play next week. His calf injury, 82 passing yards, game 1. Better this week for sure. 222 yards passing with a couple touchdowns, but did throw a pick. But noticeably limping, bad calf. I've got a bad calf right now, and I don't think I'd be marching out there to play the game. I think, this didn't heal properly enough. They're 0-2 in the season, and I think it's time to rest him for a bit. Their backup is nobody special, but Burrow, you don't want to have this injury last the entire season or keep lingering or get worse. So I don't know what's wrong with Jamar Chase. Only 31 yards receiving. This is one of the elite guys in the league. Joe Mixon was held in check too. 13 carries, 59 yards. Had 36 yards through the air on 4 catches. But something's wrong with Cincinnati. They're not protecting the quarterback very well. That reared its ugly head a couple years ago in the Super Bowl, and has caused some problems there. It looked like they had addressed it, but 0-2 start, and not looking very good. They host the Bengals host the LA Rams Monday, the late 5:15 window, as I mentioned earlier, and Baltimore hosts the Colts. Indy comes in Sunday in the early window. The other NFC North goes tonight. As I mentioned, the Steelers host the Browns. A lot of tributes from the Browns to Jim Brown, who passed away May 18th of this year. They're dedicating the season to him. They're amazing running back. We mentioned Barry Sanders earlier. Jim Brown, just as amazing and incredible career. Way too short, but amazing. The Browns are 1-0 after a huge 24-3 win over Cincinnati last week, and great defense. I'm impressed with them. Nick Chubb had a great game last week, and is a workhorse, a guy that can carry the rock of at least 20 touches. Deshaun was good, had a TD pass and a TD run, and the defense held Cincy to just nothing. Like, they just shut him down. There was 67 yards passing. I think 82 they said, but maybe they're also discounting the rushes and sacks. 10 punts, 75 yards rushing. Brutal. Steelers come in with Kenny Smallhands Pickett. I think they were expected to be pretty good this year. Had that loss against San Fran, and were worst loss in Mike Tomlin's career at home. Did not look good in that 37 loss to the Niners. George Pickens is supposed to be this guy that is his go-to guy, and we'll see how that comes together. Amari Cooper questionable tonight with hamstring injury and a groin pull. Probably doesn't play. Najee Harris is good. I really like him as a running back, and I think he should be good. And I like Pratt Freiermuth too. He only had one catch for 2 yards. It was a touchdown, but unleash this guy. This guy's a good tight end. Deontay Johnson went on the IR, will miss the next 4 games. That was a big loss for their offense too. Tough to see him go down with an injury after game 1. Okay, after tonight, Pittsburgh goes to Vegas. Sunday nighter, as I mentioned earlier, and Cleveland hosts the Titans early window on Sunday. AFC South. Let's turn to the South. Okay, so mentioned the Jags. Mentioned the Titans. The Colts. Colts are 1-1. They beat the 0-2 Texans 31-20. This was the youngest quarterback matchup in NFL history. The 2 youngest QBs ever to face each other. Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson was knocked out again. He left with a knee injury last week. This time it was a concussion. He was having a great game. He was 6 for 10, 56 yards through the air, and 3 runs for 35 yards with a couple touchdowns on the ground. But then, bam, was knocked out. Gardner Minshew came in and had a great game. 19 for 23, 171 yards and a touchdown. Michael Pittman was his top target with 8 catches for 56 yards. Will Mallory had 2 catches for 49 yards, and Kylan Granson had a touchdown, a 4-yard touchdown on his 3 catches. So, really feel terrible for Richardson getting injured in the first 2 games of his career. Hopefully this concussion isn't lingering and lasting very long, and he'll be able to get back at it this coming weekend. Houston, their entire offensive line is injured. They lost almost the entire offensive line in the preseason, and then their 2 tackles were hurt going into this game. It was crazy that CJ Stroud was able to get going, but he had a huge game. 384 yards passing on 30 for 47, couple touchdowns. Nico Collins was his favorite target. A massive game with 7 catches, 146 yards and a touchdown. Robert Woods had 6 catches, 74 yards. Tank Dell, love this guy. 7 catches, 72 yards. That was a nice 23-yard touchdown, first of his career. So good on you, Tank. Their run attack was completely stuffed. So all on CJ Stroud. And he stepped up, but still lost. And Houston's going to be one of those bottom teams this year. Don't see them going very far. Indy goes to Baltimore, early window Sunday. Also early window Sunday, Houston goes to Jacksonville. And that is the breakdown of all the games that have happened so far. Let me go down this injury list. I've teased it a few times. I know I teased it a bit last week, and I don't think I totally broke it all down. I think it was too lengthy, though. Jason and I already did 3-hour podcasts, so I think it would have been pretty brutal. Okay, so the Eagles cornerback Avonte Maddox has a torn pec. He will undergo surgery. I expect that's going to take him out for the rest of the year. Buda Baker, the Cards safety, was put on IR with a hamstring injury. That at least eliminates him for at least 4. The Bucks running back Chase Edmonds has a knee. Will have an MRI today. David Montgomery, running back for the Vikings, has a thigh issue. He's going to miss a couple weeks. Saquon Barkley, as I mentioned earlier, ankle injury, missing 3 weeks. Devontae Adams with the concussion. Reportedly feeling good, though. So that was good news. Zay Jones was knocked out. He got a knee injury and is day-to-day. Odell Beckham Jr. has an ankle injury and is also day-to-day. Jalen Waddle, great game for Miami, but concussion. Concussion also for Anthony Richardson, as I mentioned. Joe Burrow, we talked about, with the questionable designation with his calf problem. And on and on and on. I didn't even hit them all, but those are some of the big names out there. Big trade talks are going on for the Rams running back Cam Akers. I expect him to be dealt in the coming weeks, especially with some of these running backs going out. I think he'll be needed somewhere. And big news today out of Kansas City: the Chiefs have restructured the Patrick Mahomes deal. $210 million for his salary. It's going to be the biggest now in NFL history, just surpassing Burrow, who just signed his deal recently. So yeah, it just seems like quarterbacks just re-up another million, another 2, another little bit. But yeah, 4 more years for Mahomes. Yeah, I can't see Mahomes ever playing anywhere else, but I guess I couldn't see Brady ever playing for somebody else, but he did. I doubt Mahomes is going to play till his mid-40s, though, like Brady did. Okay, turning to the CFL, there was a big game on Saturday night locally here. BC Lions hosted the Ottawa Red Blacks and pulled out a huge 41-37 victory. They outscored Ottawa 23-0 in the 4th quarter to get the win. Vernon Adams, huge numbers, 325 yards passing on 26 for 37, 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately, 3 interceptions. Really helped Ottawa have that big lead, and didn't look very good for the Lions. Adams also had 45 yards on the ground on 5 carries. Dominic Doris had 1 pass for a touchdown, and Justin McInnis was huge, catching 8 balls for 118 yards and a couple touchdowns. Lucky Whitehead had 6 catches, 87 yards and a touchdown. Ottawa, Dustin Crum, their quarterback, had a pretty good game with 233 yards passing, and but he had 3 rushing touchdowns himself on 9 carries for 46 yards. Really kept him in this thing. Justin Hardy also had 8 catches, 114 yards. Ottawa, yeah, they blew this lead. They were up big, and BC was able to scrap back. 37-18 score was after 3. As I mentioned, 23 unanswered points for BC. BC moves to 9-4, and Ottawa falls to 3-10. BC's got to get a better start and better 3rd quarter. 1 point in the 1st quarter, 3 lousy points in the 3rd quarter. Put themselves in a deep hole. They're not going to be able to pull out of those types of holes against very, very top teams in this league. Luckily, Ottawa came in having a struggling year. Speaking of struggling, the Lions go to Edmonton for the Friday night football. That's the early Friday night football game. The later Friday night football game, Ottawa goes to host Saskatchewan for the later Friday night football game. So that will be a good. Edmonton's playing a lot better though since Trey Ford took over. Very impressed with his abilities, and they've won a bunch of games. So the Edmonton's not a pushover as much as they were last year and earlier this season. Okay, let's go to the UFC. I would love to break that down a little bit before we call it a night. Okay, I am sick of UFC judging controversies. MMA as a whole is poorly judged, terrible judging constantly happening week after week, and controversies and things that alter these fighters' careers, change so much, and it's just sickening. We've got to just do a complete overhaul. We've got to get all new judges in the mix, and yeah, just get rid of these guys. Most of the controversies coming over the main event that was the rematch between champion Alexa Grasso and former champion Valentina Shevchenko, who fought earlier this year. Grasso with the big upset victory, getting the belt. This was the rematch. This was El Noche night, Mexican Independence Day, 223 years ago. They decided they would get that date that normally is reserved for boxing, and especially last decade, Canelo Alvarez always takes that night in Vegas and takes over the T-Mobile Arena. UFC got it this time, turned in their very first Noche night, and it was very Mexican centered, and a lot of Mexican pro-Mexican crowd, and yeah, cheering on Alexa Grasso big time. Mike Bell is getting the judge on the main event, is getting the most controversy because he scored the fifth round 10-8 for Grasso, and it ended up making it a draw, a majority or a split draw. And but I think the other two judges should get as much shit or more for their brutal judging when they ended up judging the fourth round for Valentina Shevchenko. And it was clearly, I think, Alexa Grasso's round. Mike Bell gave it 10-9 for Grasso, and then he gave it 10-8 the fifth round for Grasso too. And the other two judges gave it to Valentina Shevchenko 10-9 in that fourth round. So Junichiro Kamijo a 10-9, as well as who's the Sal D'Amato. You hear these three names almost every main event, almost every big card. These three guys are the guys, and they keep messing up. I don't know how Sal D'Amato and Junichiro Kamijo scored that fourth round. I thought Valentina won the first round and the third round, and I thought Grasso won round 2, round 4, and round 5, and should have been given the 48-47 victory by unanimous decision. So all three judges should be fired. Like, all three judges should be just gone. Like, it's happening way too much. I hate saying that about anybody, that they should lose their job. I'm out of work right now, and it's not great. But like, this is ruining our sport. This is ruining the sport that I love, that we love, and we're seeing just robberies. Alexa Grasso should be able to move on, have her belt, and move on and face some other contenders now. Valentina moves to another weight class that she's been great at as well, and goes after a title there. Valentina, to me, didn't deserve that victory. She's calling it biased, that because it was Mexican Independence Day, they ended up siding with her. She didn't say if it was because the judges were corrupt or it was just sort of influenced by the amount of cheers and roars that the crowd was constantly giving when Grasso would do something good. Yeah, she wasn't clear on that, but she definitely did call it a biased decision. And then, she kept pointing to this 10-8, 10-8. fifth round, and it wasn't a 10-8. I don't think any of those rounds were 10-8 for anybody, but I think Grasso won round 4 and round 5. After the first 3 rounds, Valentina was up 2-1, and then the championship rounds come, and I think Grasso took the victory. I think she did what happened similar in the first fight when Valentina Shevchenko did a spinning kick. Grasso took her back, was able to get her to the ground and sink in a rear naked choke. She almost pulled that off in the 5th round. Valentina went for a takedown, got reversed immediately. Grasso took her back and was on her back, and came close to finishing her again that way. Same way, rear naked choke, close. But I think you don't say 10-8, but she won 10-9, and I think she won round 4 as well. I've watched it a couple of times now, and I still have the same feeling. And it's it's just wrong. Grasso retains her belt. That's great, but it'll always go down as a draw. It'll always be a stain. It'll make the UFC consider another rematch, this trilogy fight to once and for all settle it. But, Grasso gets her victory that she rightly deserves, I think. She moves on from Valentina Shevchenko and lets the other girls in that division that are coming strong, looking like some really good contenders in that division, and doesn't have to deal with it anymore. But we've got to do an overhaul. We got to do an overhaul on judges. Most of the referees are pretty good. The main guys, when we're going to smaller cities that don't get the UFC that often, I'm seeing some questionable refereeing. There is a refereeing mistake that was done by Chris Tognoni in this on this card, and I'll get to that in a sec. But judges, Jesus, like, we're seeing these 3 guys as, most of the time the main event happens, co-main event. These 3 names are the ones that are called out by Bruce Buffer, and they're making big mistakes. This is a big mistake. I don't know how Mike Bell said that. He's never made any comments publicly, so we don't know why he was thinking that way. We don't know why Junichiro Kamijo and Sal D'Amato were thinking the way they were thinking, why they saw Valentina had the 4th round instead of Grasso. So I don't know, man, we got to figure it out. These are guys that don't understand the game, I don't think. And they're the guys that we're going to hear from week after week, year after year. And to make the sport better, to be more respected, to have less controversy and tough things, we could lose some of the good fighters if they keep seeing this, and they'll go to other leagues where these aren't the same judges. These are judges that get it. PFL does a really good thing. I like it. They show constantly, they're showing the strike totals. It's a running total. They're showing like who's winning. They have experts, they've got the judges, they've got the public, they've got a very, very fair system that's being shown in real time. And I think the UFC has lagged way behind in showing a lot of that type of stuff that might stop some of this controversy from happening and make you feel a lot better after a card. And I don't feel great after that main event. Nobody likes a draw. Nobody. There's nobody that was like hoping for a draw. Not a person on this planet, I don't believe, was hoping for a draw, unless they put some huge money down in Vegas. And you hate to think about judges possibly doing that, but a judge just puts a 10-8 down, and he has so much power. Like, if a friend of his, put up money and put in the draw, he just guaranteed the guy the payoff. That's scary. That's really scary. And they're in Vegas. There's influence there. I don't like this current system. And I think they need to go to 5 judges and, make it a lot more fair. I think they I don't know, they need to revamp the system. I think it has to be figured out, and maybe it's not a round by round 10-9, 10-8 system. I think maybe it's, scoring totally different. So let's see. Okay, let's just blast through this. Co-main event, welterweight battle between Kevin Holland and Jack Della Maddalena. I was really excited. I thought this was going to be fight of the night and would have a lot of excitement. Not the greatest performance. I didn't like Kevin Holland's look. He turned his back way too much to JDM. He was goofing around way too much. I thought that there was going to be fireworks, and there was just quite a lack of it. JDM, super talented guy, on a 16 fight win streak, and he just stayed with the game plan and pulled out the decision victory. Not great. I wasn't happy with how much they engaged in an all-out war that I expected. So back to the drawing board for them. Okay, Raul Rosas Jr. Came in, really blew away this pro-Mexican crowd, got a huge victory, just a complete beatdown, ground and pound done. 54 seconds it lasted, and he got 50K bonus for that. Highly touted. Suffered a defeat his last fight, but came in this one and wasn't taking anything from Terrence Mitchell. The stiffening up that he got when he got rocked by that huge left was amazing. I was just blown away that Mitchell wasn't out on the canvas immediately, a walk-off, but he tried his best. But once he turtled, ground and pound, and Rosas gets the victory. But that one was one of those moments of seeing a guy stiffen up immediately off a very tough shot, and impressive. The pro-Mexican crowd was really, really excited about Daniel Zellhuber getting the victory there. He was in all sorts of trouble early. Christos Giagos rocked him, had him hurt, had him running and trying to cover up, got hit quite a bit, but in the second round took over, ended up getting a really nice submission victory, and got 50K for his troubles too. So good on him. Getting this pro-Mexican crowd just at a fever pitch. Canadian Kyle Nelson comes in, huge underdog against Fernando Padilla, and the little Canadian monster used a great game plan, got the victory, was just very good straight ahead style, lots of good movement when he needed it, and impressive victory. Loved seeing him win here in Vancouver, and then be able to back that up with the great victory. Blake Builder here, impressive victory, another big win. Fernando Padilla was a big favorite in this one, and Nelson said, "No way, I'm the guy." Speaking of Canadians and Mexicans, Lupi Godinez, former Mexican international who moved locally to this area of the world. They always say Vancouver, but they should say Coquitlam. That's where I guess she trains, and I think she lives. So good victory for Lupi. Man, she is tough. I love this girl. Her style is very, very, very tough, and she she got a great victory. 50K for her, nice bonus, way to go. Spend it locally here. Let's send some money around here. And she trains with Alexa Grasso, so I think her level is just even gonna increase tenfold from here. She's already looking like a great career, and I'm loving seeing what Lupi's bringing. Okay, I do want to mention Jasmine Jasdavicius, unfortunately a little overmatched against Tracy Cortez. Just landed so many tough strikes, and very quick. She's super fast. Another Mexican fighter that was just super fast. I love Jasmine's fight ferocity. I loved how she said, "I'm going to bring the dog out in the cage" in that third round, and she did. I love her style and the way she comes forward in a lot of this fight, and yeah, I was impressed by her. Unfortunately, she ran into a tough girl in Cortez. Cortez got the decision victory, but can't wait to see Jasmine Jasdavicius fight again, the girl out of Ontario. Another 50K went to Roman Kopylov, one of the cheating Russians. So we don't want to mention much about him. Great performance, but probably steroid aided. So we'll move on. Charlie Campbell on the early prelims. My brother from a different mother. Charlie Campbell, UFC debut. Massive, great, huge KO early on in this fight. He had Alex Reyes in all sorts of trouble. Reyes is the younger brother of Dominic Reyes, and so I expected a lot of big things out of him. Light heavyweight Dominic Reyes and lightweight Alex Reyes, but Charlie Campbell comes in off the Dana White Contender Series, and man, he landed some severe, very, very tough shots and was able to get a big win in his UFC debut. Nice to see a Campbell get his hand raised and get the big victory. Super impressive and very fun to have a Campbell in there. We've got a card coming up this weekend. It's early kickoff card. Prelims start at 1 o'clock Pacific, and the main card goes at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. It's Rafael Fiziev and Mateus Gamrot, a lightweight battle, two the toughest guys in the division. Love it. I'm looking forward to Bryce Mitchell and Dan 50K Ige in the co-main event. These guys will bring it too. I'm not sure who's going to have fight of the night out of those two, but both of those are going to be awesome battles, I think, and super excited about that. Speaking of Battle, Brian Battle is in a welterweight tilt against AJ Fletcher. Charles Air Jordan, we took a lot of pictures with him when he was here for the UFC. Got some videos up on our YouTube, on our Instagram, and love Charles Air Jordan. Super happy he's fighting again. He's got Ricardo Ramos to start the main card. The featured fight on the prelims has Dan Argueta against Miles Johns in the bantamweight battle. We got the Dirty Bird, Tim Means against Andre Fiallo. Malkoon against Brundage. We got Jake Collier, Mohammed Usman. Usman's the older brother, I think, of Kamaru. So be great to see him again. That guy's a super tough heavyweight. And yeah, on and on and on. There have been a few changes and cancellations to the card, but hopefully no more this week, and we'll get to see a great card ahead. So, okay, I'm going to wrap it up, send you on your way. Thanks so much for your support and tuning in as always. Thank you for your time on Mondays, and I hope you had as good of a weekend as I did. Sports enhances my weekend, makes them fun. Look forward to my weekends for the world of sports. And then the week ahead, we've got Monday Night Football. It's a 3-3 game, second and goal for the Saints. They are trying to march it in. Derek Carr is, he's got the ball here, just snapped it, and he's trying to look for his targets. And it goes in and out of the hands of his receiver, and third down. So it should be a good game. Only 3-3 so far, partway through the second quarter. Can't wait for the rest of the games. The other game is about to kick off in about 10 minutes here. So anyway, thank you to our partners and sponsors. I want to say thanks to Anchor.fm, the easiest place to make a podcast. Phenomenal at posting on multiple podcast platforms for us. Really, really great. Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company, an industry leader in technology, performance, and value. And the V350 stick is a must-have for any hockey player in your midst. Pampas and Possibilities, designers of West Coast beautiful things for your home. Get them to come in. They will be able to spruce it up and make it look phenomenal. I recommend them highly. And Forever Living, the aloe vera company for health and beauty products. We use them around here and love them. You can get discounts on them on our website. So just go to completesportsmedia.com and you'll find them. Anyway, love you guys lots. Take care of yourself. Have a great week ahead. And fingers crossed, Jason Cameron will join me 1 week from tonight. I won't have to do it all by myself. I need a drink. I need some food, and I need to watch some football after talking that long all by myself. So anyway, take care of yourself. Love you lots. We will talk soon. Bye for now.